When you have an opportunity to tell two black girls to shut up and get off stage and you don't, and you shake their hand and you smile and you step to the side and you listen, that is a firm difference from turning around and staring at a little black girl and saying, shut up, I'll talk to you later. You're being rude or allowing people to say that to her. If I can find a picture of you from 51 years ago, chained to a black woman, protesting segregation, and I know 51 years later, you're willing to fold your arms, hold your head, and listen to two black girls yell and scream, rightfully so, as opposed to someone who will tell you to shut up, as opposed to someone who will tell you later. When it comes to your children dying in the streets, the only person that I have the conscience to vote for is Bernard Sanders. I know that the only person that my logical, beautiful black mind will allow me to vote for is Senator Bernie Sanders.
Senator Bernie Sanders kicked off his campaign for president.
He's a long shot.
Long shot.
A long shot.
I don't think he's going to be taken too credibly.
He's 73 years old. He looks 91.
Is it a little crusty?
He's alone, isn't he?
Understand how significant this is. You're here because you're talking to each other. Not because you're being encouraged by the DNC, not because you're being encouraged by the media, but because you're talking to each other.
CNN, MSNBC, Fox, all of them just spent basically the whole day. Marco Rubio is going to announce today. Oh, Ted Cruz is going to announce today. Jeb Bush is going to. Right now, Bernie Sanders is announcing, and none of the networks are covering it.
Classic Democrats, right? So they say the Republicans fear their base, and the Democrats mock their base, right? Dismiss their base.
Bernie Sanders has made up a 50-point lead against Hillary Clinton because he's running on the issue of the corruption of money in politics.
He's saying things that Democrats have been afraid to say since Ronald Reagan, and it's igniting people's passions like crazy.
We were so honored that he's making this his first stop right after that huge win. Congratulations on this win last night. I mean, it was quite something. But the whole journey's been quite something. People fainting and they're screaming, they're passing out. I mean, it's a wonderful thing that's happened. But how do you keep this momentum?
With a lot of effort, I'll tell you. There's a lot of hard work in front of us. This country is supposed to be a nation of fairness. I was at a meeting once and I said, well, in Scandinavia, college education is free. And some kid from Finland raised his hand. You're wrong. They pay us to go to college.
Give students the same low interest rates as big banks. In other words, let students borrow money at less than 1%. 78% of Americans say yes.
Bernie's the only one actually saying things in his speeches. He's actually being specific. He actually has solutions to our problem.
And he actually stands for something. What the fuck did the other people stand for? Donald Trump being an authoritarian and being a narcissist, being a fascist. Ted Cruz, theocratic fascism. Even worse, Hillary Clinton, incremental change maybe. Pro-corporate, pro-establishment, center-right Democrat. And then there's Bernie.
The problem here isn't that Bernie Sanders is a crazy pants cuckoo bird. It's that we've all become so accustomed to stage-managed, focus group-driven candidates that authenticity comes across as lunacy.
Check out the reaction from the panel there when they ask, well, according to who are we in a recession?
You say that we are currently in a recession. Every Fed official who speaks to us tells us we are not in a recession.
The average American has not had an increase in pay in 15 years, but things have cost more in the marketplaces. Up at the top, we're not in a recession.
So how does that translate into investing into the stock market? Is it that it's a recession that seems like nobody realizes we are in one?
And they just seem so confused. Like, who's noticing this recession you claim exists? I mean, nobody's noticing it. Well, what do you mean by nobody? I mean, none of the really well-paid anchors at CNBC who basically just tout supply-side economics, none of us have noticed a recession.
Or anyone walking around with suits in the financial district down below here.
If you go out and talk to the traders at the stock exchange, they're not noticing the recession. I mean, who else is there really?
You have the facts right in front of them, and they can avoid those facts based on ideology. Hillary Clinton is the establishment candidate. Okay, that's who these guys want. They are scared to death. They get scared to death at the idea that young people are actually getting involved in the political process.
All the other candidates should take notes, because what he's doing is, no matter what he's asked, he'll briefly answer it, and then he goes right back to talking about the things that the American people care about. Look at the questions she asks, and take note of what her focus is here.
You're just about tied with Hillary Clinton. You have resisted attacking Hillary Clinton. You haven't criticized Hillary Clinton because of the email controversy. Are you braced for the onslaught that could come your way from her? Do you think that she jeopardized national security? The first word that came to mind to describe Hillary Clinton from voters was liar. What is the first word that comes to mind when you think of Hillary Clinton?
Every question came back to Hillary Clinton. In fact, I wrote it down. You're not attacking Hillary. Do you think she's going to attack you soon? He goes into a tangent about how pharmaceuticals are too expensive and healthcare is too expensive, and he would address that problem. Again, classic Bernie, sticking to the issues no matter what. Is Hillary struggling because of emails? Why are you not attacking Hillary? Do you think she's going to attack you? But what about Hillary's emails again? Look at these words that people use to describe Hillary. Hillary, 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 Hillary. And at the end of it all, they go, I wonder why Hillary is leading in the polls by so much. Perhaps because you couldn't shut the fuck up about her. How about that? Fox News, all the media outlets covered Donald Trump nonstop. And then 3 weeks later, a poll will come out, and all the media people go, I can't believe Donald Trump is fucking leading. You did nothing but talk about Donald Trump, you asshole!
What is important is not that the media is quote-unquote, right-wing or whatever it is. It is they frame the discussion. You need to break through the fog of the corporate media, which does everything that they can to keep us entertained without addressing the real issues.
But that's, Jimmy, that's why they don't ask the hard questions, because then they won't get those guys on and get their temporary bump in ratings, right? And so the reason a lot of the candidates won't come on here is because we'll ask them real questions. We'll ask them substantive questions, policy questions, and we'll hold their feet to the fire. That's why they won't come on here.
You know, these are topics that you pretty much can't discuss.
They view politics and they cover politics as if it's some kind of sporting event. All they do is cover nonsense things from like an entertainment perspective, like whoever's leading, oh my God, that horse is the front runner. Let's talk about that horse, which is the front runner, not the specifics, not the policy issues, not the substance, but just the horse, the personality traits of the horse. How fast is the horse running? What did they eat? Are they on the good juice? All that nonsense.
I'm on the corporate media every single day, and you don't know how hard it is just to try to demand that we begin to talk about the real issues. They really do not want to. Talk about everything under the sun, but not the real issues.
They haven't listened to him, but we are. And we need to keep spreading that message because people are voting against themselves.
So the question then becomes, where is America right now? Is America with Bernie Sanders, or is America with all the various other people who have announced for president?
The youth has been on the right side of history on every issue.
Under 30, Sanders is winning 71-29. 60 or over, Clinton, it's the inverse.
I think young people have experienced life during and after the Great Recession. I know for a fact that the numbers say the next generation will have it worse than we had it. Well, they're reacting very logically, and they're saying, this doesn't work. We're not going to continue this.
Senator Sanders' job is to rile things up, to get people excited, to keep Hillary Clinton honest. Her job is to win a general election.
Hillary does better in the general. Come on.
And that I think Democrats mostly think Hillary's a stronger general election candidate.
She's only been elected to one goddamn office. Let's keep that in mind. Miss Electability has only been elected to one goddamn office, whereas Bernie Sanders can't stop getting elected. It's like an affliction with that guy.
He is quite literally electable. If you look at the polls, he's beating Trump and all of the Republicans by a wider margin than Hillary Clinton. Nobody has ever asked Hillary Clinton once, hey, perhaps you're not electable.
She wants to imply that she is the better candidate when it comes to women's rights issues. Hillary has 240,000, while Bernie Sanders has 301,000 female donors. Now look, it's still the case that a majority of Bernie Sanders' donors are male, but he still has more female donors. But the point of bringing this up is to prove that Bernie Sanders' base is not just a bunch of He-Man woman haters.
The bullshit Bernie Bros narrative is the most negative thing I've seen in this campaign. In the circles I run in, all of the criticisms of Hillary Clinton have been about her ties to Wall Street, vote on the Iraq War, her stance on Libya. You go down the list, her stance on free trade deals and how she's flip-flopping.
It's pretty disappointing to see Democrats act like the worst parts of Republicans. Guess what? She did the same thing last time. I don't know if you remember when she ran against Barack Obama.
When Hillary surrogates would run with Obama boys. Everybody seems to be talking about substance, and that's why they disagree with Hillary. Yet all the articles, or many articles from Hillary surrogates, say, oh, Bernie bros, they're just sexist, and that's why they're against her, because she has a vagina. Really, that's strange, because Bernie Sanders describes himself as a feminist, And many of Bernie Sanders' male followers also are feminists.
Hillary Clinton and her camp refused to do a debate in New York because they were unhappy with Bernie Sanders' tone.
But in my mind was the Washington Post story with his own campaign talking about how they're poll testing more negative attacks on Hillary Clinton. What kind of campaign is Senator Sanders going to run going forward? This is a man who said he'd never run a negative ad, ever. He's now running them. They're now planning to run more. Let's see the tone of the campaign he wants to run before we get to any other questions.
Can you imagine the shitstorm that would hit the internet if the Sanders campaign criticized Hillary Clinton's
Tone. Spoken like a true leader, too scared to debate but ready to run a country. No more debates unless Bernie stops using facts against me. That's Hillary Clinton.
If you don't like that tone, imagine if it was us running against her. I'd be shredding her like a honey badger. If she doesn't like Bernie Sanders' tone, wait until she gets a load of Donald Trump.
When they would do these interviews talking about his tone, they would make it seem as though he was hitting below the belt. Bernie Sanders only attacks Hillary Clinton on her policy and how her campaign gets funded.
The whole idea of you're running for the presidency and now all of a sudden you don't want to debate, there was a very fiery response to that sort of idea. Let's turn to that now.
It's the toughest job in the world. You should be willing to campaign for every vote. You should be willing to debate anytime, anywhere.
A production team that's very supportive of Bernie Sanders' campaign has released an ad supporting him, and I think the messaging is clear. I think that it was produced very beautifully. Take a quick look and judge for yourself.
Our job is not to divide. Our job is to bring people together.
And watching that ad just reminded me, like, love your fellow man.
If we do not allow them to divide us up by race, by sexual orientation, by gender, by not allowing them to divide us up by whether or not we were born in America or whether we're immigrants, when we stand together as white, black, and Hispanic, and gay, and straight, and woman, and man, when we stand together and demand that this country works for all of us rather than the few, we will transform America. And that is what this campaign is about. It's bringing people together.
Now, on a political level, I watched that ad and thought, oh boy, Hillary Clinton's in a lot of trouble. There are not outside groups, other than super PACs, making inspiring videos and ads for Hillary Clinton.
I don't know, it's like a tearjerker because we have been so lost in this war against one another in the same class, dealing with the same struggles instead of focusing on the system that's keeping us down.
Quote, all politics is rich people screwing poor people. Poor people are too stupid to know they're just chess pieces in a game. They're all in the same boat. They've got no economic opportunities. They spend all their time blaming each other because rich people throw words at them like illegal immigration and racism and things like that. All they talk about immigration, the notion that illegal immigrants are ruining our country by taking jobs. We're shipping all of our jobs out of the country.
Just work together for a common good. We're so separated, and watching that just made me feel good knowing that there are people out there who understand what the struggle is and how we can solve it.
Birds are flocking to Bernie Sanders. No, I don't mean voters. I mean actual birds. This is one of the funniest moments of the campaign so far, isn't it?
This is great. Very, very unusual.
You can't write this stuff, Louis. I mean, you really can't.
If he or she does their schoolwork seriously, does well, takes school.
What? Oh. This little bird doesn't know it. Oh my.
I know it doesn't look like it, but that bird is really a dove asking us for world peace. No more wars.
Birdie Sanders, as he has now been dubbed.
That made me emotional.
Did
Yeah.
Just watch that. I don't know. I get it. Maybe it's just Bernie. I get emotional now.
It's almost like the guy who's Noah, from the Bible. Like the animals are starting to come to him. The animals heard he's here to rescue us.
Yes. He's going to save the planet.
If that was Donald Trump, birds interrupting his protest, he would have been like, well, first of all, that's what he would have done. And second of all,
Kudos to Bernie, he didn't freak out because I would have like, bird!
Trump would have done that Trump dance like when the protester came out.
When Ted Cruz says that he has been anointed by God to run for president after 6 months of prayer in his Houston pastor's office, and a bird pops up and hangs with Bernie Sanders, which influences you more?
The bird.
It's interrupting his rally. He would have been like, get him out of here. Get him out of here. If somebody broke that bird's wings, he'd pay his legal fees.
Too politically correct with these birds. In the old days, somebody bite its head off and throw it on stage.
Yeah. Hillary Clinton, I feel, would have been like.
It's so unfair.
We need bold leadership from someone we can trust. We haven't left them, they've left us.
And Hillary Clinton's given us that 1990s kind of Democrat, the triangulation Democrat. That was the formula for success, and they haven't broken free, and they don't understand that the country's changed.
Jordan on the field asked one of the Hillary Clinton supporters, she said, I don't want a revolution. So for that person, they found a Hillary Clinton they like tonight, right? For the people who are sick of the corruption and the system, they found a candidate they like, Bernie Sanders. For people who are racist and xenophobic, well, they found a candidate they like too, because when Trump was asked about that, he said, I don't call it racism, I call it intelligence.
Intelligence.
Common sense.
Wow. Wow.
Who the hell would watch that snooze fest? You just had a fascist, xenophobe racist who's been telling people that I'm going to pay for your legal bills if you beat the shit out of people. I want to ban a third of the world's population from our country, and you don't lay a glove on him? You didn't lay a goddamn glove on him. You're normalizing him yet again.
It's like a bus full of fucking clowns with one sane person. That's why we support Bernie, because Bernie's right. And they're wrong.
And hey, Hillary, instead of using your actual voice, maybe try to sound more like you're always from whatever region it is you're talking to.
I'm aware I may not be the youngest candidate in this race, but I have one big advantage. I've been coloring my hair for years.
Hillary Clinton is not pretending anymore that she should be the nominee. Let's wrap this shit up. I'm going to be the nominee. She's just saying it now.
And I want to hear her defend herself when she gets questioned on her record and how, in a lot of ways, Bernie's more progressive than she is.
I always get a little chuckle when I hear my opponent talking about doing it. Well, I don't know where he was when I was trying to get health care in 93 and 94.
Very grateful for the leadership that many people are giving to this great reform effort. And I'm grateful that Congressman Sanders would join us today from Vermont.
He was literally right behind you. And you were thanking him for everything that he did to help you.
The comments that Senator Sanders has made that don't just affect me, I can take that, but he's criticized President Obama for taking donations from Wall Street. Senator Sanders called him weak, disappointing. He even in 2011 publicly sought someone to run in a primary against President Obama.
What fucking jackasses they are.
They're trying to pull the wool over the eyes of people on the left, the people who are the most fact-based, right? It's like if you're not educated, you're afraid of Bernie Sanders. Yeah. Oh, why is the guy socialism? But if you're educated, and so then you see through this guy's bullshit.
I wish that I was compiling a list of the people in her campaign and her supporters in the media who have been willing to tell the most hateful lies, and they don't fucking care.
Bernie has a very powerful message. But I think a lot of the people who vote for him want to send a message rather than pick a president. It may be, it's just a theory, I don't have data.
So I'll just make this up tonight. Okay, fair enough, okay.
It may be that the violence and the talk of violence at Trump rallies said something to Democrats like, whoa, we need to pick a president here, not just send a message.
The math says he goes from being a serious threat to being a serious message candidate.
Oh, that's a message vote. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. You made that up. That's a pundit thing. Person goes in the voting booth to vote for the person they want to vote for.
They haven't been voting that way everywhere, especially younger people.
Hey, Marge, you want to go down through and walk through the snow to go vote so we can send a message. That's a thing pundits think, right?
I wonder if the level of seriousness in the campaign on the Democratic side just
It would be interesting to see if electability started to get higher than shares my values.
Now, Cenk, who did you vote for?
I voted for Bernie Sanders.
Oh, he won.
Oh, God damn it. I was trying to send a message. I didn't want him to win when I voted for him. God damn it, he won? Oh, man. With my vote, I thought I was sending a fax or a telegraph.
No, that actually counts.
Oh, that's for the person to win.
They counted your vote.
For the win.
That's how we got George W. Bush.
Yeah.
No!
Hey, now, what message should I send Paul fucking Begala on CNN?
There's going to be a real effort here to marginalize Senator Sanders, and I think it started just now. Bernie is opposed to TPP. That's probably going to get him locked out of CNN and MSNBC. Bernie is he's opposed to the whole free trade concept. He's in favor of net neutrality. These big networks are owned by big corporations that don't want net neutrality and do want TPP.
Make no mistake about it, Ed Schultz is a good guy. He was only let go from MSNBC when he did what? He did this awesome rant against President Obama because Obama was pushing the TPP. And he knows the facts on the TPP. He read the same things I read, the leaks from WikiLeaks. And he's like, whoa, this is totally anti-worker. What are you doing, Obama? You're selling out to the corporations. Why would you do this? This is insane. So when he started hammering the TPP on a regular basis, boom, MSNBC had to let him go.
If we don't help him, if we don't make sure that he takes this all the way, net neutrality will be pushed back upon.
I mean, these networks are also owned by and run by millionaires and billionaires who don't want to see their taxes go up.
CNN never discloses before any of these debates, town halls, or events that, hey, our parent company, Time Warner, is the 7th largest donor to Hillary Clinton in the course of her campaign, that they've given over $400,000 to Hillary Clinton in campaign contributions. Why is that not a conflict of interest?
They weren't doing journalism to try to get out information to help people make a decision when they're voting. When he asked the question to Donald Trump, you don't want violence, right? What he was doing was showing young reporters how to get a rebooking. So if you want to ask Donald Trump, you could say, look, I asked him about the violence, but you asked him about, you're against violence, right? Where and what you would get an F in journalism class.
But at least Trump sounds like a human being when he lies. I thought the biggest loser of the night was Ted Cruz. He went with his standard smarmy shtick and the squint, the insincere squint. Well, let me tell you something, Wolf. Like, The
final 5 candidates joining me now, the Democratic frontrunner, Hillary Clinton. Welcome, Madam Secretary. Thanks very much for being with us.
Great to be here.
So, and then Anderson Cooper also wasn't trying to get information out to people to help them make decisions when they're voting. What he was doing was showing you how to interview someone on the red carpet. Yeah. It's impolite to bring up policies and tough questions. We're just there to help promote a movie. And that's what he was doing with Hillary Clinton, helping her promote her movie, that she's a good candidate.
You've probably heard that one before.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. In a new CNN poll, Sanders does better against Republicans than you. Do you buy that?
No, I don't buy that at all.
Do you buy that? They say that the grass is green. Do you buy that? They say the sky is blue. Do you buy that?
Like they're selling a load of shit. That's what that implies.
It tells the audience that the questioner doesn't buy it.
They're used car salesmen trying to get you to go on with these polls that are scientifically done.
Yeah, 2 + 2 = 4.
Do you buy it?
Do you buy that? I was giving credit to CNN in the beginning, and I said that was one of the best I've ever seen Wolf Blitzer against Ted Cruz. And he does the same, insincere, well, when I say something, I'm going to stick to it because of I'm going to drain the swamp of Washington. That's such a talking point. Trump comes on, all of a sudden they softened up. And all of a sudden we started getting very, very soft until you got to Hillary Clinton. The softest interview I've ever seen.
When CNN asks Bernie Sanders a tough question, right after, they hit him over the head 3 more times.
All of a sudden we're back to tough.
Would you invite Raul Castro, if he's still the leader of Cuba, to the White House? So normalized relations for you, that would mean even inviting a leader like Raul Castro to the White House. The moderators played a video of you way back in 1985 in which you praised Fidel Castro. You said he educated their kids, gave them health care, totally transformed their society. Do you think the Cuban Revolution was good for the people of Cuba? At that debate, Hillary Clinton went after you for, in her words, essentially praising the regime of Fidel Castro. This is something in a general election.
Oh, yeah, going to bring Castro to the White House? And Bernie Sanders had a clear answer. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're going to bring Castro to the White House? If I was the lawyer for Bernie Sanders, I would have raised objection, asked and answered. And then he did it 2 more times. Castro. Say, hey, everybody in the audience, Bernie's a democratic socialist. You know what? Castro, socialist, you know what I'm saying? I only asked it 4 times, though.
Fucking Castro, which affects my life 0.
I'm pretty well vetted. I think people have a good idea about, what I've been through, who I am, and I think that actually makes me the stronger candidate.
This is why people get their news from YouTube. Imagine just what you said. Imagine if we had that town hall here. There would be 3 billion people watching it.
Under the age of 35, there's not a single category we don't win in every ranking, in every third-party metric that does. ComScore, Tubular, OpenSlate, Variety, Hollywood Reporter. You look at anybody that measures audience. We not only beat them with people under 35, we beat them so badly we lap the field.
No one's going to tune in to watch that fucking snooze fest that Anderson Cooper did. I said I'd never been to a journalism class. Either has fucking Anderson Cooper.
But in the long run, I'd rather be on this side than that side. Enjoy your short-term bump in the ratings because you've lost the trust of people. And that makes all the difference in the world, especially if your logo or your brand is the most trusted name in news.
Yes.
Come on. Okay, as Jeb Bush would say, come on, give me a break.
Do you think you're held to a different standard? I've seen people on television saying, oh, you should smile more, that when you're yelling, it sounds, that when you're speaking, it sounds like you're yelling.
Yeah.
Do you think that's is that sexist?
Ironically, you're saying that there's a double standard against her, as you're asking her the easiest questions that have ever been asked of a politician.
You're not like these fucking guys, are you? You're a regular lady, aren't you? You don't go around voting for wars that kill people and, oh, wait a minute. You don't go around.
One of the things you said actually to me at a town hall, I think it was New Hampshire, it's been a while, we've done a lot of them, it was really personal and I had never heard you said it before and I think you've now said it once or twice.
Softball. We had a personal moment where you opened up on national TV in the middle of a debate.
This doesn't come naturally to you. That your husband, it's part of his DNA. It's not for you.
Right.
Is that, can you explain that a little bit more? Can you talk about that?
Oh, you're a real person, aren't you, Hillary Clinton?
Christ.
I mean, this politics doesn't come to you naturally, does it, Hillary?
My God.
Secretary Clinton, thank you for coming to the Election Center.
Good to talk to you.
When you're interviewing someone who is the poster child for what's wrong in politics today, which is Hillary Clinton, if you agree that what's wrong with politics today is money in politics, corrupting everything, when you are a reporter and you have access to her and you do an interview with her and at the end of the interview she says, always good to talk to you, you are a fucking failure.
You know what might be super ironic is that the people running Bernie Sanders' campaign are also old. And so despite the fact that the internet has given them everything, still we're at a point where they think, oh man, I got to get on MSNBC, hit those 68-year-olds one more time.
Is there a case to be made, an ethical case to be made, that the Clinton Foundation and the Global Initiative should essentially be wound down as a family foundation while you run for president?
Do you think, hypothetically, some could think, ethical concern, do you think you're corrupt? Tell me if you think you're corrupt. Do you think?
I feel like you're being too tough on me right now. You need to calm down.
Rachel Maddow wouldn't even look at her while asking
Wouldn't even look at her. I noticed the same thing. She was looking away. I noticed the same thing you noticed.
I have to just ask you, big picture, if you are frustrated that the Democratic primary is probably going to go until June, if not July.
Wouldn't you like to move on to the general election? Wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to bother with this?
The framing.
That's one way you could frame it, I guess.
Oh, you're playing house with Bernie. It was nice. But once Democrats get real and serious and grown up, they fucking sell out. As soon as why don't you grow up and sell out already, right? That's that speech.
How about this?
Wow.
You had a huge advantage in the polls. You had the support of almost every elected politician that exists in this country, and yet months into the campaign, you still can't lock it up, and there's a gigantic portion, about half of Democrats prefer Bernie over you. It's almost perfectly split. What are you going to do to earn their support? That's not even a strong frame. That's a fucking neutral frame that I just gave you.
This condescending message from the establishment like, oh, we hear your message. we'll shift our message in the primary a little to the left before we shift it back to the right. We're so clever.
She did the same. She gave the same courtesy to Barack Obama in 2008. Remember, she dropped out right away in July. I mean, I'm sorry.
Look, and people keep tweeting to me about how I need to stop asking for discussions on policies. We live in America. Americans don't care about policy ideas. There are people who care about policy ideas. They care about the actual differences between these candidates.
Yeah.
You're not giving people enough credit.
We do not need someone who's ready to hit that shiny red button when they get into office and create more wars, create more inhumanity around the world, create more tension, more fear. Deborah Wasserman Schultz said, the reason superdelegates exist is specifically to push back against grassroots organizing. They are hurting themselves and their future, and we need to help them because we need to help each other because this is about us.
The rich rig the system in their favor, and then they make the middle class and the poor scapegoat each other. Blame the other. Blame people who are worse off on the economic ladder than you are for all your problems. How many people, if we only get the damn Mexicans out of the country, everything would be great. Goddamn black people who take my money through unemployment and welfare. When you make middle-class people hate poor people, and poor people hate middle-class people, and poor people hate poor people, and middle-class people hate other middle-class people, and then meanwhile, what's happening? The rich are running out the back door with all the fucking money. What you have is, in Washington, you have lobbyists, you have Wall Street, you have billionaires, you have multinational corporations. They give money to the politicians to run their campaigns. Then when the politicians get elected, they turn around and it's I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
But I talk to young people, they don't even know that we are the only major country without health care for all. They don't know that in Germany or in Scandinavia, college is free. They don't know that. Media is not telling them that. So the media is an arm of the ruling class of this country. And they want to talk about everything in the world except the most important issues. Because if you talk about real issues and people get educated on the real issues, you know what happens next? They actually may want to bring about change. That is their nightmare. And that's what you're seeing there. If I can't make it, and we're going to try as hard as we can till the last vote is cast, we want to completely revitalize the Democratic Party and make it a party of the people rather than just one of large campaign contributors.
It's unfortunately time for this conversation. Jimmy, if Hillary Clinton is the candidate, what are you doing?
What am I doing? I mean, in California, it doesn't matter. But if I was in a state where it mattered, which is what you're really asking me.
Yeah. Any state that's even close to a swing state, it really sucks and it's horrific. But should you hold your nose and vote for Hillary over Ted Cruz or Donald Trump? Yeah.
I have a theory, and here's my theory.
People think like, yeah, but maybe with Donald Trump, he says he's anti-establishment, he talks about money in politics, and maybe he would blow up the system and do campaign finance reform, and no, I don't think so. I mean, look, I understand he's a giant question mark and nobody knows what he will do, and the one thing I could tell you for sure about him is he would be authoritarian.
You got to have a higher fever to break the virus, right? We are slowing down progress by electing neoliberals.
Is there no doubt that she'd be better than the Republicans on all the social issues? Yeah. The Supreme Court? Yes. And that's really important, too.
I think that if we have Donald Trump, it coalesces the natural opposition to those guys and their policies and all this neoliberal bullshit, too. So we could stop it. We could flip the Senate. Mm-hmm. So I would not... does that make me a traitor if I can't? I don't think that's a bad thing.
No. Look, I think it's the exact opposite, man. I get the feeling. I get the sentiment. It comes from a place that's 100% true. That place is moral red lines. I have them myself. And Hillary Clinton, on many issues, took a position that is simply indefensible. She voted for the Patriot Act. You know, that Fourth Amendment thing, which gave us a protection from unreasonable search and seizure. Okay, that's it. You're done. You took the Constitution, ripped it up, and threw it in the garbage. That's what you did. You said, fuck that, I don't care, let the NSA spy, let them go nuts. Due process, habeas corpus, protection from cruel and unusual punishment. Gone! You voted for the bill that took away our constitutional rights. That's it. That's not a debatable one. People look at that and say, I can't vote for somebody who voted for that. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. How about NAFTA? You shipped out hundreds of thousands of factory jobs to make the business owners rich and fuck over the people. And taking Goldman money, taking money from Wall Street, taking money from the health industry, taking money from everybody. How stupid do you think we are?
Her current policies make it clear that she doesn't really care about the middle class and the working class anyway. I mean, when you start the discussion about a wage increase at $12 an hour as opposed to $15 an hour, it shows that you're not really genuine in fighting for a living wage. Like Los Angeles, like New York City, you need at least $15 an hour to survive.
Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, which repealed Glass-Steagall. This is deregulation that Bill and Hillary supported. That led to the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession. Again, why would I vote for somebody who voted for that? That's insanity. The crime bill, which locked up a tremendous number of African Americans and minorities.
Not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel.
The Iraq War. It's an illegal war. Over 200,000 civilians died. Our own soldiers die as well. We spent, when all said and done, $7 trillion. And then she's going to come out and say, well, you know, universal college, not sure we can afford it. How dare you? You should be joyous that you're not in jail. But no, she wants to be the leader of the free world.
When you hit below the belt like this, it turns a lot of people off, including millennial voters who aren't voting for you in the first place. They're not voting for you because they're turned off by your politics and your brand of so-called liberalism.
You're telling me you don't understand where liberals are coming from when they say, I don't know, I have a problem voting for somebody who does that.
Talk is cheap and so are labels. I don't care if she's labeled Democrat. I don't care if she's labeled progressive. I don't care if she's labeled a socialist, right? All that really matters is what her record is and what she's currently fighting for today. On some social issues, sure, you're liberal when the polls indicate that it'll work in your favor. This is not liberalism, okay? You are the antithesis of a liberal.
The person she's likely to run against, if she's the candidate, is either Donald Trump or Ted Cruz. I cannot, in any good conscience, ever not just not vote for those guys. I mean, I wouldn't vote for those guys at the point of a gun, but to not vote against them would I find unconscionable. I never vote for things to get worse under the theory that they'll get better later. You win by winning, you lose by losing. And God forbid Ted Cruz or Donald Trump is in charge when we have a crisis, because I don't know where they'll take this country, and that is a scary thought. So I will vote against those guys almost under any and all circumstances. The tidal wave is coming. And even if Hillary Clinton wins this time around, I'll see them in 4 years when there is no way an establishment candidate is going to win in 4 years.
When I hear someone ask me, well, if it comes down to it, will you vote for the other candidate if it's Trump? I say if you want to beat Trump, vote Bernie. As an independent, he is doing a service to the Democratic Party right now.
They want a progressive. They want a liberal.
You two also need to work together so you can stop the greatest supervillain of all time, Orange Crush. But I feel I should say something about a growing movement called Bernie or Bust, where Bernie supporters pledge that if it's Hillary, they'll stay home. On their website, they say they're revolting against the plutocracy. No, actually, you'll be helping elect a plutocrat who's revolting.
What he's saying is there's now this movement that is too far left. It's like a left-wing Tea Party. I think they're irrational, and I think that's a bad thing. That's his position today. What was it a few years ago?
The only way to pull the debate back from the far right is for liberals to elect their own slate of 60 unstable, Looney Tune, mad-as-a-hatter, crazy motherfuckers. Anywhere where you might find angry left-wing lunatics to create a party within a party, as the Tea Party is a party within the Republicans. You say no new taxes on the rich, we say tax the rich at 100%. You call for a constitutional amendment banning abortion, we call for a federally funded partial birth abortions at the drive-thru at McDonald's. You want Reagan on the $50 bill? We insist on Janine Garofalo. The other bill that I'm afraid the Donner Party must insist on is the We Want Everything They Have Act of 2011, which guarantees all Americans what Europeans get, like free health care and 6 weeks... and 6 weeks of paid vacation, which sounds so good, I think I'll start mine right now.
a left-wing Tea Party is exactly what we need to get the debate back to where it should be, because the spectrum and the Overton window is so far to the right. And then today, when we have this, conception of a left-wing Tea Party that basically says Bernie or bust, he's like, no, wait, if we got to go for the establishment candidate, go for the establishment candidate, eat your vegetables and shut the fuck up.
What they're actually doing by mistake is revealing what the Democratic Party actually is. The Democratic Party isn't that liberal. We're not that progressive, right? And so if Bernie Sanders is an independent and he's really liberal, and we keep telling you he's too liberal, Hillary Clinton, the whole campaign, unrealistic, unachievable, too liberal, I'm the moderate, I'm the pragmatic one, etc. So what they're telling you is the Democratic Party is part of the same establishment, and we're on Team D, they're on Team R, but we're all going in the same direction, and we're all playing the same game, we all take the same donor money, and Bernie's a rabble-rouser over there trying to change the system. You're goddamn right he is.
Those of you who are old enough to remember 1992, corporate America doesn't like his message. That's going to be his biggest challenge.
He's only fighting an uphill battle in the context of Washington. In the eyes of the American people, why do you think there's a gigantic populist grassroots support movement for him? Because he's saying the shit that other people have already agreed with all along. Did you bother to even for a split second look at the fucking polling data, dipshit? Bernie Sanders is crushing your front runner, Donald Trump, by 13 points. They have it totally backwards. See, the real race for Bernie, as I've been saying from day one, is against Hillary in the primary. Well, who do you think is going to beat him? Who do you think is going to fucking beat Bernie Sanders in a general election? Please tell me. Please answer that question for me. Is Marco Rubio going to get past him? Mr. Plastic Man himself? You think Ted Cruz's smarmy ass is going to get more people to like him than Bernie Sanders? You think Donald fucking Trump is going to beat him? No, but see, that's the thing. Imagine a race between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. What is Donald going to say? She's bought by the billionaires. She's bought by Wall Street. I'm not. I'm self-financed. Vote for me. I care about the people. Let's make America great again. Are you really going to vote for her? You're really going to vote for her? She sold you out many times. You really going to vote for her? Look at the money she's taking from Goldman Sachs. You're going to vote for her? You're going to vote for her? What's he going to say against Bernie? Sold us out, but he didn't. He didn't. And he's going to say, I've taken no money. You kneecap his strongest argument if you get Bernie in there.
He is making this run because he's seriously running for president of the United States, as was Ross Perot in 1992.
There was a protest of CNN here in Los Angeles. They wanted to protest the Bernie blackout. But in a race with Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders, to give her 5 times, 6 times as much coverage as you give Bernie Sanders, on top of the millions of dollars in advantage she had in the beginning, also outrageous, maybe more outrageous. Some of these networks are run by Hillary Clinton donors. 2 out of the top 10 biggest donors to Hillary Clinton's campaign are Time Warner, which owns CNN, and Comcast, which owns NBC and MSNBC and CNBC. So I don't know why they don't disclose that before they do news coverage of these. They pretend to be neutral. They pretend to be unbiased while they give $400 million extra coverage. Those are facts. So those people that showed up in front of the CNN building, they know better than the average person. They don't know less. They went from the chant of CNN, do your job, CNN, do your job, to TYT does its job, TYT does its job. Oh, millennials, Bernie Sanders supporters, what would they know? Here's what they know, facts. The facts you never report on. That a Democratic socialist, who you all dismissed universally, would come back and make this race this close. In a recent poll, he was 1 point ahead of her. And he took in over $100 million from donors averaging only $27 just in the last 3 months. The revolution will not be televised. Television is part of the establishment. Of course, they're not going to televise a revolution that would overthrow them, because television is the establishment. And that's the message that Bernie Sanders had on this program when we interviewed him, and that's a message that's clearly resonating here. So luckily, now it doesn't have to be televised. We can carry it right here for you on the Young Turks. You can get it live streamed on Periscope, Facebook, YouTube. So television, sad day for you. We don't need you anymore. This revolution is progressing whether you like it or whether you cover it or not.
Do you think that Wall Street or the business community should be worried about Bernie Sanders?
I think he mentioned me by name. I didn't take it personally since we never met. And another kid from Brooklyn. Right. How about that? So look, it has the potential to be, to personalize it. It has the potential to be a dangerous moment, not just for Wall Street, not just for the people who are particularly targeted, but for anybody who's a little bit out of line.
A little bit out of line.
Isn't it interesting that all of a sudden we're having segments on CNBC who earlier had done this to Bernie Sanders and not given him any coverage, asking if they're afraid of Bernie Sanders?
First they ignore you, then they massively misstate your positions.
And I am proud that the gentleman who is head of Goldman Sachs, now he didn't give me $225,000 for speaking fees. He said I was dangerous, and he is right. I am dangerous for Wall Street.
We are playing chicken here, and we can't pull back. They are going to have to turn. That candidate is the Ralph Nader, not Bernie Sanders.
On the core of economic issues, I don't know that she ever switched. She's never really been a progressive on economic issues. Never really cared about the unions, didn't mind the corporations running roughshod over them. In fact, was sat on the boards of corporations, the corporation that ran roughshod over unions, Walmart, right? And when she was a senator, she helped the banks with the bankruptcy bill. She now says she would fight further regulation of the banks. She doesn't want to bring back Glass-Steagall, which prevents gambling with depositor money. And you look at her whole career and you go, oh my God, you keep saying, hey, a little bit of change, she'll give you a little bit of change. But on economic issues, she's not going to give you change in a progressive direction. She says she can work with the Republicans in Congress. That's true. She'll work with them to give you change in a right-wing, pro-corporate position.
Oftentimes, I'll say something like, the establishment is against Bernie Sanders. People are like, what do you mean? I don't see that. What are you talking about? It's subtle, and it's in stuff like the framings of the questions that they ask him.
You quoted with pride a Wall Street Journal article calling you a viable candidate. The article was quoting Blackstone CEO Steve Schwarzman, who said the markets are unsettled because of you, a slowdown in China, and geopolitical risks. You're laughing, but I want to know, why is it a good thing that the markets are in turmoil? People have their pension funds in the market. Lots of middle-class people have their 401ks invested in stock. It's not just Wall Street. Everybody's affected by this.
The reason that I am laughing is I fully admit to having a big ego. But the idea that Bernie Sanders' candidacy, because it has growing support all over this country, is unsettling world markets, is absolutely absurd.
Look at the framing of those questions. That it's undeniable that that's a right-wing, pro-establishment framing. Why are you responsible for the market crashing? Why are you laughing as if it's funny that the market is crashing because of you? He's like, no. I think Wall Street is scared of me, and we know because CEOs on Wall Street say, hey, we're scared of him, but I'm not responsible for the fucking markets crashing right now. Oh my God, imagine if it's a President Bernie Sanders, the stuff they're going to blame on him that has nothing to do with him, we're guaranteed to have another crash. I think it's going to happen. If Bernie Sanders gets in, it's still going to happen. He can't change everything overnight or even over 2 years, right? So there's going to be another crash. Let's say he gets elected. Everything will be blamed on him from day one. They're blaming him right now for the market going down when he ain't even in office. They're like, hey, why is it that you're responsible for that? He's like, I'm not. That's why I fucking was laughing at it. The top 1% and 5% are, blaming you already for the downturn of the market. Aren't they right? No! What the fuck kind of a question is that? They can't discuss real policy substance because he's right on the substance, so just throw establishment horse shit at him. Guys, there was a march on Saturday. 35 different cities. Thousands of people came out to march for Bernie. Just for Bernie. It was a We Are Bernie march. How much coverage did it get? Almost non-existent. Quote, nearly non-existent, they said in an article about this. No mainstream media coverage. They're trying to get him to lose, okay? They want him to lose. They do.
I know for a fact that the numbers say the next generation will have it worse than we had it.
and will face much deeper challenges and much more economic unfairness and much more stratification of wealth. Well, they're reacting very logically, and they're saying this doesn't work. We're not going to continue this. That is a better answer than their naive idealists.
We keep seeing these mass movements of people going, this is not the way things should be done, and it gets ignored. The thousands of people who've been marching across America for Bernie that doesn't get any press coverage because Gil Scott-Heron said the revolution will not be televised. But it's time for it to be televised, and thank you so much for televising it.
A lot of people in the movement have decided that you are their leader. You know, you look at some recent polls of millennials. They have you as by far the most popular politician, partly because you're running for president, but they actually have you as more popular as a person they'd like to meet above Beyonce.
Well, you know, what I say, number one, I'm not big into being a leader. You know, I much prefer to see a lot of leaders and a lot of grassroots activism. Number two, what we do is together as a nation, as a growing movement. Instead of going around and raising all kinds of money from wealthy people, why don't you meet in some football stadium and bring out 50 or 100,000 people, bring the damn Senate in there, Senate Democrats, and start talking to people and ask them what they want you to do. How about that?
He's not afraid of his own liberalism. He owns it. He goes, not only am I a liberal, I'm a democratic socialist. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get universal health care, single payer for everybody, Medicare for all. I'm going to get universal college. We're going to be like the other modern nations. We're going to be more like Denmark. That's what we're going to do. We're going to raise the minimum wage. We're going to raise it $15 an hour. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get the money out of the political system. Money's corrupt in the political system. It's broken.
Do not underestimate Bernie Sanders, and do not think that he is making this run to have an impact on Hillary Clinton.
And make sure that this isn't just reflected here among ourselves and just a memory, but something that is pushed through and we get to see in the history books. Because history is written by the winners, so we must win. Thank you.
As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me.
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream.
Any other major country on earth, a nation in which the wealthiest people are becoming phenomenally rich, while we have over 40 million people living in poverty. The very least that we can say is that nobody in America goes.
The Pied Piper Bernie Sanders for the middle class. What a GOP wants to put our interests last. He's gonna give it to you raw, no hesitation. With the right ideas to lead this great nation. No handouts, no special interest groups. He don't lie to give votes, he's telling you the truth. And while the media wants to downplay him, he's still gonna fight. Tell him all he ain't playing. Push him for higher wages so we all can feed our families. The only one I know who can conquer this insanity of this Wall Street bickering, belittling the poor. Dollar bills, only thing they considering. When people need health care, kids need school. When it comes to politics, Bernie's breaking rules. No attack gets on the competition's needed. He's running on the facts and it's something that we needed. Feel the burn, make him feel the burn. All the way to the White House, feel the burn. Feel the burn, make him feel the burn. Till the haters on the right, they can feel the burn. Feel the burn, make him feel the burn. All the way to the White House, feel the burn. Feel the burn, make them feel the burn. Till the haters on the left, they can feel the burn. Yeah. You see him scared shook, he's a democratic socialist, but they don't even know what it means, they just roll with it. Get over it, check the resume, fighting for civil rights ever since the first day. While other candidates still with their hands out, we do it old school, grassroots stand out. Cause this is our time to have a voice heard. You fat cats had your chance, now it's our turn. They say he can't win, he's too liberal, way too extreme, too honest and too cynical. They want another robot politician, the same old rhetoric, now they gon' listen. Feel the burn, make them feel the burn. All the way to the White House, feel the burn. Feel the burn, make them feel the burn. Till the haters on the right, they can feel the burn. burn, make 'em feel the burn, all the way to the White House, feel the burn, make 'em feel the burn, so the haters on the left, they can feel the burn.
Millions and millions of working people who are working hard but are not making enough money to put bread on the table or to take care of their kids, and that has got to end. The time has come when people all over this country create a political movement which says to the billionaire class, you can't have it all.
Burn, make 'em feel the burn, all the way to the White House, feel the burn, make 'em feel the burn, so the haters on the right, they can feel the burn, make 'em feel the burn, all the way to the White House, feel the burn, make 'em feel the burn, so the haters on the left, they can feel the burn.
Iceberg dead ahead, bitch! You don't even realize it.